My name's Adam. I'm 38 years old. I'm from Tacoma, Washington. I'm a photographer and a musician.
And how long have you been living in Tacoma?
Almost my entire life. I've been in and out of Tacoma. Really, I grew up in Puyallup. Tacoma's my hometown. You know.
And so you said you grew up in Puyallup. Did you live in other places?
Yeah. I went to school at WSU, and after I ended up spending about 5 or 6 years in Eastern Washington. Um, Came back here after losing some employment out there, and ended up landing in kind of the Kirkland area for a while, uh, just kind of working job to job. Moved back in with my parents a couple times, then they kicked me out, and then I found an okay job that got me an apartment and back into Tacoma. Yeah.
And what would you say your childhood dream
Oh man, childhood dream. It was something that I had to let go of. I thought I was going to be a rock star. I think everybody did. I thought I wanted to be famous. I thought I wanted to get up on stage. I thought I wanted to write music. I thought I wanted to play guitar in a stadium. Uh, and that's definitely something I had to let go of. Not a not a realistic dream, I think. Unless you've been working at it your entire life, unless you're a virtuoso.
right? Right. I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. And so what are your passions now? Then?
I mean, I'm still very passionate about music. I've been playing guitar for, gosh, I don't know, um, 23 or 24 years now. But photography is a really big one. Photography is the primary passion.
And what would you say inspires you in everything that you do, or your work, artistic work, or just life?
I mean, the inspiration comes from a lot of things. I think a lot of it's lived experience. Um, you know, uh, if we're talking about creative processes, a really big part of it would be, what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling it, and figuring out a way to get that out of me in a healthy and maybe productive way, and to do it in a way that maybe I can either socialize with others in the process or share that work with other people. Yeah.
That's great. Cause yeah, what was something that I guess you struggled with, or something that impacted you and your loved ones,
Mhm.
maybe in recent time or in the past?
Yeah. I mean, chronic illness was a really big one for me. Um, I'll spare you the details, but I was really sick from the age of 13 until about 19. I went into remission for about 7 or 8 years, and then came out and ended up being really sick again until I was about 33 or 34, and that took a toll on my body. It took a toll on my mental health. Um, there's 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 a lot of pain and a lot of difficulty. Um, it was hard on my family, and it was hard on my relationships with other people. Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you're here now. Um,
yeah. Thank you.
how would you say, like, you know, we spoke a little bit about COVID and
Yeah.
epidemic. How did that affect you and the people in the community
Hmm.
around us?
Yeah. Well, so circling back to um, one of the things that you mentioned about like finding inspiration and stuff. Uh, a big part of my own personal work and something that I've always struggled with is experiencing loneliness. And the pandemic was, I guess, it was a trial by fire in resilience and embracing the fact that you may have to cut ties with other people. Um, you know, there are a lot of things that I learned during the pandemic, and a big part of that was I think I discovered that I could combat loneliness by seeking community. Um, but it's not like I knew how to do that. So I spent a lot of that time kind of trying to wrap my head around that. Forging new relationships, but at the same time, uh, trimming unhealthy ones. The friends that you've outgrown, the friends that weren't good to you, the friends and relationships that weren't healthy. Um, it was a very difficult and trying time. I think I came out better for it, but I know there's a lot of people that lost a lot, and I, it's
No,
tough, tough stuff.
that's great. And
Yeah.
I guess what right now would be the main ways that you manage and cope with, all the different experiences, through the pandemic and just, through the experiences you have in your safety.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things that I struggled with was, and still kind of do to this day, is asking for help. Knowing when it's okay to reach out, even if you feel like you're struggling, even if it's something that's incredibly personal. You don't always have to share, but you can still get in touch with somebody just if you need company, if you need contact. Um, which kind of goes back to that community thing. Like, no one should suffer in silence. And the problem with that is if you don't know how to reach out, or you don't have anybody to reach out to, you're kind of stuck. Where do you go from there? And it's a different answer for everybody. But I think it's something that is worth striving towards. I think it is something that's very difficult to do. Um, but I think there's a great reward if people are willing to take the risk of putting themselves out
That's powerful.
there.
Right. And anything positive you think came from, the pandemic? Or how would you say, like, what positivity do you see now in Tacoma, but also, around the world that maybe
Yeah, that's a difficult question to answer. I think I don't know if we can really make that assessment yet. I was kind of reflecting on that today before coming to meeting with you because I figured it'd come up. And
came? Right.
it's, I think a lot of people lost a lot of things. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out either how to get those things back or how to replace them with things that are better for them individually. And that's individual struggle, but it's also societal struggle. The world's a different place, and I don't know how we overcome that. But I think collectively we kind of have to get together and we have to be kind to people. You know.
Right. And what would you say your plan is to moving forward to help our community, or
Mhm.
just the people you love around you?
Yeah. I mean, one of my big drives was, like I was saying earlier, I'm really into New Year's resolutions, and my big one for 2023 started in about the middle of 2022. Um, I wanted to find community, but I also wanted to do something to establish community. I wanted to give back to community, create something that may not be there, because I'm certain that I'm not alone in feeling the things that I'm feeling. But how do you find those other people that are going to benefit from that? And that started with me getting to know my neighbors, and I've never done that in my life. All the apartment buildings, all the houses I've rented, all the people I've lived with, like, I never talked to anybody. So got to know my neighbors, and started getting out socially with our pandemic pods. I think they were calling them. The people that we all knew were tested and were sheltering in place and all that crap. And I realized that I was spending a lot of time shooting photography and mentoring a friend. And I was getting more joy out of that than I had out of any other social activity in 5+ years, maybe even longer than that. And I started reaching out to a lot of other photographers in the Seattle area and Tacoma area, and realized that there were a lot of people that were interested in the club,
Mm.
but they weren't interested in taking the initiative to start one. But they were willing to show up, or maybe they were interested in getting together, but you reach out to a stranger who's maybe a professional photographer or maybe even a hobbyist, and it's like, hey, you want to go shoot sometime? And people are going to go like, well, yeah, but I don't know who you are, right? So I I started thinking that maybe what I needed to do was build a team and find some like-minded people, and start to build that community. And I think a lot of people are kind of awakening to that entire, hey, like, community is cool, community is important. We're all waking up from the pandemic.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Nah, I hear you. I hear you. Slowly, slowly are.
Slowly but surely. Yeah.
And what is a message of encouragement that you would like to share with
Hmm.
everybody that may be watching?
Yeah. Don't don't give up and be resilient. If you're down, if you're alone, uh, don't hesitate to reach out. You never know who's going to be there to respond. You may have to try and try again, but eventually you're going to connect with somebody. Uh, it's kind of like a numbers game, and you can't let one or two bad experiences get you down. You just have to keep trying, and you will succeed. And you have to practice self-compassion. You have to be kind to yourself in that. It's like learning to ride a bike. You're going to fall over a couple times. You're going to hurt yourself, and you're going to get there. It'll happen.